Okay, beginning number 14, ISO 14 of 20. First thing that we want to do is we want to get an idea for what the dimensions of the shape are. And it looks like over here on this side, we're going to have a little bit of a problem because it curves around like this. So let's be a little bit careful on where we place our endpoint over here. If we look at the edge of the circle at this point, we can move our line down, and I know that the radius of the outer circle goes out 2 squares. So we're going to move out 2 more squares. This is going to be where the end of this shape is. We're going to count the squares up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're going to be 12 units across. We're going to count in the width as well, or the depth. And the depth, let's see here, we've got a curve back here as well too. But I know that we end right here, and we can add 2 more spaces because of the outer radius. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. And from the top, we can count the high cylinder and then the low part of the slot as well too. So I'm going to count these squares up: 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6 for the bottom. So the height of this object is going to be 6 units high. So we've got a 12 by 4 by 6. We're going to create this in OnShape. Let's think about the design before we go any further. It looks like we can make a block and create some fillets. And once we create the fillets on the bottom, we can then use those fillets as a guidepost for the top cylinder. And then we can add the slots in the same way that we did on number 13. We can create a circle and then use the line to extend it out. In fact, the 2 holes for number 13 are very similar to the way that the slot is here. The only big difference is it looks a little bit wider, and there's a hole in the middle of it, like it's been cut through. It makes a slot. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into OnShape. 12 by 4 is going to be our base dimensions. So we're going to go into OnShape. We're going to create a document. We're going to call it 20 ISOs 14. We're going to click OK. Just like always, we're going to create a sketch, click on the top view, then make sure that you're in the top view cube. We're going to create a sketch. It's going to be 12 by 4, so make your rectangle click, and we're going to go 12, enter, 4, enter. 12 by 4. Go back to an isometric view, and you have your base set up. Now hit the green check mark for it to end the sketch mode, and we're going to extrude our base. We're going to extrude our base out 2 units. Remember, it was 5 and 2, so we're going to increase our base 2 units. And from here, from this point, I think it's a good idea to think about the order of which we're going to do things. I'm going to save the hole in the middle, and I'm going to save the slot for the end. Let's add our fillets around first, and we can use those as reference points. Go back into OnShape and use the Fillet Tool. We're going to set this radius to 2 inches. 2 inches. And we're going to click on the corners. 1, 2. And then the other side, 3. And switch over to a different view and get the other one. So it's going to look like you got kind of like an oval thing going here. All right. We should have this general setup of a shape. Click the green check mark. And now that we've got this fillet over on this side, look at this dot right here. This is the middle. We can use that to our advantage now. So I'm going to create a sketch, and I'm going to create a sketch from the top. Go back to the top view, and we're going to try to make a circle on top. So I can go to the midpoint of the fillet here and move the mouse over until it snaps into the center. There it is. Okay, so I can make a circle that goes out and reaches the end of the fillet. Now, it's not going to snap in place for me, but that's okay. We can just click the circle and then type in 4 for the diameter, because it's going to be 2 for the radius. Okay, that circle should go in exactly with the shape itself. We can also go ahead and make the second shape. Yeah, I guess we can do that. So we can make this second circle already, and we can just extrude this part up. We're going to have to drill in a little bit of the circle, because I'm going to assume that this shape has a hole that goes all the way through it. It doesn't specifically say, but let's assume that it does. So we're going to go back into here, and I'm going to go ahead and just make a separate circle. I'm going to make it have a diameter of 2, and then I'm going to finish my sketch. Go back into an isometric view, and whenever we click extrude, we can click on this outer ring, this outer donut, and we can make it have a height of, I believe it was it 5 or was it 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. It was 4. That's why I double check these things. So we're going to move up 4 units, and then we're going to click the green check mark, and we have a hole, but we don't have the entire part of the hole filled in. So we can quickly just make a sketch of a circle and go ahead and drill that in. But we can, since we're going to go ahead and drill in this part too, let's go ahead and just make that all part of one sketch, because we're going to be cutting through the entire surface. So let's make that all one step to do. I think that'll not be too terribly difficult. Let's create a new sketch, and we're going to click on this flat plane on the bottom. Now we're going to click the top view, and we're going to try to make a slot here. I think the easiest place to start is to click the circle button, and starting from the endpoint, move the mouse over until it clicks into place right there. And we're going to make another hole that has a diameter of, I believe it's 4. It's too big. Oh, it's way too big. Way too big. Okay, so I can go back and double check. Click escape circle. Let's go reference. Oh, look, it's only 1. It's got a diameter of 2, not a diameter of 4, because it's 2 units across. The whole thing is 4. So I'm going to go back, just double click on this number and change it to 2. And that is the right size. Now, we also know that this other hole, if we count up the number of squares, is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 squares away. So to find out where that center point is, we're going to make a line, and we're going to make a line that is 4 units away. Okay, once you get done with that line, click escape, and then click the circle button again. You're going to be creating another circle with a diameter of 2. Now we need to cut away the space in the middle. There are a couple of different ways that you could do this. One of them is you could create a rectangle that goes from one side to the other. You could make 2 lines that go from the endpoints of each part of the circle here to the endpoints of the other one. I'm going to just use a rectangle, so I'm going to click, and starting up, I might not be able to. Hang on. Let's try this instead. I'm going to click the rectangle button, but I'm going to click on this arrow right next to it, and I'm going to click center point rectangle, because the thing that I know about OnShape is usually the midpoints give you a place where you can click geometry. So if I use the midpoint rectangle, my starting position of my rectangle is going to be in the middle, and I can stretch that rectangle out to whatever size I need it to be. And in this case, we know we want it to be 4 units across, because that line is 4, and we also want the diameter or the height to be 2. So I'm going to click this, I'm going to type in 4, enter, 2, enter, and that's going to give me some geometry and some constraints, and that's okay. Escape the rectangle, and we're going to use the snipping tool. So trim, it says we're going to click on it, and I'm going to get rid of everything I don't need. These circle parts in the middle, I don't need these anymore, so I'm going to get rid of them. The radiuses on the inside and the outside, I don't need them anymore, so I'm going to get rid of them. This line in between that connects them to each other, I don't need it anymore, so I'm going to get rid of it. So you should only have, what's left is you should have this, this slot shape. Okay, now don't forget about your circle over here. That one's easy to do. Just click the circle, find the center of the circle. It should snap into place with the geometry, and then make a circle with a diameter of 2, and then click the green check mark. You should have a shape over here that highlights, and you should have a shape over here that highlights. Okay, find a isometric view that you want to go with. That looks good. And we're going to click extrude. I'm going to click both shapes, and notice I can't click this shape from here, so I'm going to have to go to the top view and then click on this shape to get it to actually show up. And we want it to go the other direction, so I'm going to click remove, and I'm going to click this arrow and drag it down, and we should have a hole that now goes all the way through, Click the green check mark, and let's double check and make sure. Go to the top view. We have a hole that goes through. And I believe, let's take a look and see, I believe that we have everything that we need. This is 20 ISOs, number 14.